the EFINA Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode on our EFINA Podcast. We're going to be discussing an amazing topic. I will tell you about it. But first and foremost, let me introduce my guest. Hello, Kola.
Hello, Immanuel.
Welcome.
Good.
All right. So my guest is no other person on the EFINA Podcast other than Kolawole Osinowo. He's a certified digital finance practitioner. I think let me start with that.
Yeah.
He's an academic by calling, only that he's still chasing dreams of creating jobs for Africans, and underserved economies. But beyond that, Kola is currently the Chief Executive Officer of Izili Group. And some of you will be, which is Izili Group? I'll tell you about it. If you have heard of Baobab Group before, right, or Baobab Plus, you then know what I'm. But he will use 1 or 2 minutes to speak about Izili Group so that you understand where we're coming from. But on today's podcast, episode, we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic, which we have tagged, using pay-as-you-go model, really, to drive financial inclusion and economic inclusion. And he will tell us more about that. Kola, welcome to. If I start reading your CV, right, we will not leave here.
No, thank you very much. I'm deeply grateful to be here, and thanks for inviting me. I know EFINA does a lot of work in the space. A lot of us in our research, we use a lot of EFINA data, so it's good to be here.
Yeah. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, you always know the EFINA podcast here we discuss issues that are very germane to economic development. And we tend to highlight or bring to surface the issues and also talk about the solutions so that the economy benefits everyone and everyone is also included. On today's podcast episode, our topic is very straightforward, from energy to equity. And you're asking, what does that really mean? We're trying to see how do we leverage pay-as-you-go model, or the one we call PAYG, to drive financial and economic inclusion. So Kola wears both caps, right? He has been in the financial inclusion space for a number of years, and he's also worked in the energy space in terms of providing affordable and renewable energy to millions of Africans, especially in remote and underserved communities. So you can see that he sits very well. In fact, he doesn't say who the cap fits. This cap really fits him. Kola, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so please, there is a question I really want to ask you. And I need to ask you this question. I call it a teaser, right? So when most people think of solar or clean energy, right, they really immediately don't connect it to banking, or finance, or, anything inclusion in that. It's just a put light in our house, and that is it. For all the works you've done all these years, you've been able to turn light into leverage, helping millions of households to get access to energy, also, bring them into inclusion, whether financial or economic inclusion. My question is really, how did this journey begin with you, and your team? What moment, first made you to realize that energy access, could actually open doors for economic inclusion?
Thank you very much. I think I wouldn't say I fell into the energy space because I've been in last mile distribution maybe prior to now, maybe for like 15, 16 years. I've been worked in distributing mobile devices.
Yeah.
And then later into e-commerce. So I see firsthand the importance of getting, whether it is a service, a product, or innovation, all the way to the last mile. So if you think about when we used to talk about these feature phones, imagine that somebody in one village in Plateau State needs that phone to be able to make a call to their family in the urban area. And people started building services on that. I remember those days we had what we call Nokia Live Tools that allowed people, even farmers, to be able to get updates via SMS.
Yeah.
So technology was not just something that was with the days of AI or IoTs. It was something as simple as using USSD, using SMS. So that was what really fascinated me with energy access. Just to set the context, there are 600 million people who do not have access to electricity in sub-Saharan Africa. Nigeria is one of the biggest, with over 90 million that do not have access to electricity. So in terms of numbers, you can say that we're the least electrified country relative to population. But a lot of this, only 30% of our rural areas are electrified. So there's a huge gap. But one thing I noticed is in the process of driving energy access, we also saw that there was other problems, economic problems at the last mile. Things like financial inclusion. There's one thing about financial access as well, because they don't do it unbanked. There's also financial inclusion because nobody knows their credit history.
True.
So when we started the journey, interestingly, it's almost 4 years now. In 2022, because of my background, I like being on the ground. So visiting customers, going to the villages. Then we realized that in some cases, we're the first point of call for some of these customers in terms of getting their bank accounts. So some of them did not have mobile money, they just had cash. And because we also run an agency model, which is similar to agency model within the banking financial services industry. Because our agents will reinforce them in a particular location where they live, they know the customers. Again, they are like our first loan officers, because even though we don't offer credit, we are not a credit company, we are not a loan company, but they sort of do some level of credit checks to be able to determine if this person is worthy of getting this solar product. So one of the things they check is, do you have a bank account, or do you know how to pay? We now realize that we're now trying to, majority of the problem we're trying to solve was not even giving them, they need the lights.
True.
It was, how do we make sure that they know how to pay? Because if they don't pay us, then the model collapses.
Absolutely.
So we sort of now became like advocates, or should I, awareness creators of financial inclusion. And that's why I saw that there was a nexus. But beyond that, we now realize that, wait a minute, when we give you this PAYG-driven, and PAYG is similar to like buy now, pay later, or hire purchase.
Absolutely.
But there's a technology in the product that shuts it down. So it also makes it look like your prepaid meter.
True.
So, and for you to unlock it, you need to pay. You get a token, you punch it in, and it allows you.
Absolutely.
So we realize that all that data, we now see the payment patterns of customers. Customers who are first-time asset owners. They are first-time bank account owners. Now they are now becoming first-time credit history owners. And that for me,
there's a footprint now.
There's a footprint that we can now see. So, for example, somebody purchases and never missed a payment in 14 months.
Amazing.
Who is using that credit data?
So there is a lot you have just unpacked. You've taken me into product. But before I get into the product innovation, building using data to speak to all of that, tell us about Izili Group, right? What's the connection? We knew you were CEO of Baobab Nigeria.
Baobab Plus.
Baobab Plus. Why do I keep missing it? You're CEO of Baobab Plus, right? Then there's this Izili Group now. And there is, what we're looking at here is really, there's the economic inclusion, because at the end of the day, people are empowered, right? We'll come back to the pay-as-you-go model.
So whether as Baobab Plus or as Izili Group, our mission remains the same.
Okay.
Is to provide economic empowerment through energy access at the last mile. We rebranded from Baobab Plus to Izili because of change of ownership.
Okay.
From the Baobab Group to our manufacturing partner, interestingly, BioLite. They've been our manufacturing partner for the last 6-7 years. And Baobab wanted to focus on its core mandate of being a microfinance institution.
Okay.
And I do thank them for it, because that period, I became a certified expert in microfinance.
I remember you shared that
So
certificate with me.
being a certified expert in microfinance,
That was the
Frankfurt School of
Finance
Finance,
and Management, yeah.
and that really helped me because it allowed me to also build a microfinance mindset
Okay.
that I can take into now any industry. So they wanted to focus on their core mandate. Then, because we're also thinking vertical integration and also consolidation in the industry, especially in the solar home system industry, because the cheaper you get your product, the better margins you can make as a solar, or you can even reduce prices for the customers. So you can only achieve that if you are vertically integrated. So we do not manufacture the product. So our manufacturer now is now the majority shareholder. But beyond that, we're also thinking there are smaller players in the industry that might not be able to scale or raise finance. So can't we build a network of these smaller players that can join us? So in the coming months, maybe you will see that there'll be some smaller players that will join the Izili network.
Awesome.
That will allow us to be able to scale. And achieve the Mission 300 objective.
Tell us about the Mission 300 objective.
So it's a bold ambition. Like I said, 600 million people not having access to electricity. And the idea of Mission 300 is to at least get 300 million of that over the next couple of years. It's daunting because Africa is just built different. There's also the last mile logistics challenge, there's the infrastructure challenge, there's also the economic and political situations in the various countries. And even though we have 54 countries in Africa, there's no one that is the same.
True.
Even the 4 countries that we have in the Izili Group today, all of them behave differently. Nigeria, even interestingly, behaves completely different from all the Francophone countries that we see today.
What is expected?
Expected because sometimes, the sheer scale of Nigeria, but it also comes with its own complexity.
Opportunities too.
Opportunity, but also complexities as well. But the opportunities is huge.
Yeah.
So that's what we are doing at Izili now. Izili used to be, by the way, was our sub-brand, which we use internally for our PAYG business. So, and that's why we say we are limitless. So for us, Izili is about doing things easily. So getting energy access easily.
I see that.
Getting financial inclusion easily.
Okay. All right. I would try because this conversation has to be short but has to be rich too. Let's look at the over 19 million, people who do not have access to energy in Nigeria. You've been doing a lot of work in this area. So just looking at, I'm trying to understand how the PAYG model, right, has transformed access to energy across the markets you have worked. And then begin to look at, first and foremost, bearing in mind that concept of energy financing, right, from a low-income point of view. I'm not talking from an investment point of view now. How do low-income earners, finance their access to energy? And the PAYG model, has helped. But what lessons, does this hold for advancing financial inclusion? People, through your product, people are able to access energy, low cost, clean and renewable energy. Building on that point of people now have credit history and all of those ones. How does this model really help to advance financial inclusion among low-income earners?
I would say, first of all, this is the only model that has been able to scale and to drive energy access at scale.
Okay.
Because if you look at it, the cost of products is, for underserved communities, they can't pay at one go. So the only way we could have taken these products to them and light up their homes and ultimately light up their lives is to give them a form of pay-as-you-go mechanism that allows them to pay in installments. One lesson I've learned from PAYG companies, because I'm not oblivious of the fact that we are a social business. We create social impact, but we should not forget the sustainability of the business. And that's where a lot of we've had issues, even in the PAYG industry. We still have issues in the PAYG industry because we tend to forget that it's a wedding and a funeral that is happening at the same time. Now I'm modifying it to say it's a wedding and a marriage. Because initially, if it's, when you're doing a wedding, everybody is happy.
True.
Everybody, and that's when you bring energy access to the homes of these customers. They're happy, they're excited. I've been to places where, can you imagine a whole village running after your car? You get in, and the whole village is running after the car. And you go to the house you install, and all the kids are looking at, and they are waiting eagerly. We did one of the installations during one of the African Cup of Nations. By the time we finished, and the TV went on, and because we also give with some of dish as well. And at the end of the day, you could see all of these kids sitting in their neighbor's living room, and they are all watching TV. I could remember there was a lady the neighbor. She called her husband and said, your kids are in their neighbor's house watching football. You need to also get for your family. But you see that these people, they are also diligent with payment. But where it all crumbles is their income can be seasonal. Some of them are farmers. Like this is their period. Yeah. They are investing now, so they make more money. But during the period where they are planting, you also need to understand that cycle. Yeah. That things will go down. So that's why that's all making it affordable. In some cases, we've even done daily payments. For example, we've seen somebody who is a motorcycle rider. We didn't know that at the point where, because we're wondering, why is this person missing payments? We realized that he's making daily income and is spending everything on that daily basis. So you're asking him to pay weekly or pay monthly. He cannot even put the savings together.
Now, what you're describing here is that personas, defining the personas, understanding, the nuances around each persona will also help to design the product in such a way that everybody is able.
Absolutely. And it's different from the way you do it in urban areas. Interestingly, people in rural areas, actually, they have the willingness to pay. So there are two things there. There's willingness to pay and there's ability to pay. They have the willingness to pay, but do they have the ability to pay? In the urban areas, we see the ability to pay, but is there the willingness to pay? So your best customers are the ones that have the willingness and the ability to pay. And that's why for us, we're not just doing energy access, we're also doing credit selection. So a lot of that microfinance mindset that we got from the Baobab Group is really helping us now. But I dare say that with all the challenges because there is a lot of challenges with PAYG model, there's no repayments can be very low sometimes. People don't care about, especially when they are being pressured from programs, coming from grants, subsidies. There's this all grow at all costs mentality. And what you now find out is that a lot of them now sell, but they forget to collect, so they forget to do the marriage. And
yeah, I love that concept of the wedding and the marriage, because after the wedding, the marriage
now begins.
Now fully begins, and we start seeing the realities, which is something most businesses, don't really, kind of put in front of them when they're building the sustainability plan. Yeah. Let's talk about opportunities for product innovation and partnership, right?
Yeah.
So what you have just described now, it's beyond access to energy. There is a lot of opportunities to even build complementary services.
Absolutely.
Right. Even the agent, who may help to, resell that represent you in those villages. There's opportunity to build other, solutions, around that. My question really would be two ways. What would be the partnership and policy enablers that are needed for the regulators, development finance institutions, very important, and innovators to replicate the PAYG model or the success story of PAYG in pro-poor sectors.
Wow. So you are telling me to describe the ecosystem
Yeah.
that would really
In fact,
make this successful.
Yes, and I want you to speak to DFI's regulators, right? Because we need funding, we also need enabling environment.
In fact,
And the reason I'm asking this just before you continue is to layer this to say, we have seen this work in the energy sector, right? We Nigerians are very poor when it comes to financial health, right? There are rich sectors like agriculture too, where there's opportunity to digitize agri-value chain to do a lot, but we haven't really seen that. So farmers' losses, like you were describing, even though the business as seasonal harvest time could be, there's a lot of loss, Yeah. If you even go into this other one they call circular economy, for instance, the waste economy and all of that, there's opportunity too. So my question really, in as much as we are focused on energy and financial inclusion, in job creation and even driving social impact, are there policy enablers that we need, from what you have learned so far, we need to activate to enable this impact, right? This success story that you have recorded, which will continue to record because Project 300, has to be a reality.
Yeah.
What will be those enablers that we can build on, and building on them will even be beyond energy and finance, to start looking at places like health, looking at places like agriculture, the MSME space, and all of that.
So there's a whole lot, to be honest, and I think everybody just needs to work in to make sure that we serve that customer at the last mile.
Okay.
So there are three parts to it. There's energy access, there's energy reliability, and there's energy affordability.
Access, reliability, and affordability.
Access is where a lot of governments today concentrate on. But we also have a reliability issue for SMEs who are getting maybe like 2-3 hours a day to run their business. So if you run a tailoring shop, you are waiting till they give us light at night. That's when you can only operate. What happens to all the productive hours during the day? Because energy is not reliable. There's energy affordability. Okay, those of us in Band A, we are now groaning under the pains of the cost of energy. So you can see the challenge is multifaceted. From a DFI point of view, they just need to trust more. And that's why in one of the conferences I attended, the One Energy Summit by Acumen, I posed this question in the room because there were a lot of DFIs in the room. And I asked, is patient capital really patient? Because you cannot drive energy access without patient capital. And on the other side, I must say that you cannot also build energy access on subsidies and grants only.
True.
You need to build enablers that allow companies like us to be able to survive. But today we're all surviving on development finance, mostly because the commercial capital that we have today cannot sustain energy access. Just like I described the payment cycle and the kind of people that we serve, you need people that will be able to put their money on the table and be patient with it. That is not to say that the businesses should not run as businesses. They need to, yes, you have a social impact mindset, but you need to run as a business properly. Meaning that all the KPIs, your unit economics is sound. You are checking all your collection KPIs and all the relevant impact KPIs. So that's on the DFI side. On the government side is to also make sure that there's if you are giving subsidies or grants, there's predictability of those grants and subsidies, so that I know that this grant is only there for 2 years, it's only there for 1 year, and I can plan around it. But when you say the grant is available for 1 year and in 6 months is already exhausted, that cycle of start and stop really killed a lot of PAYG companies. Then the third one is product innovation, like you said. Now we need to start gearing, and that's where we call it more of PAYG 3.0, PAYG Plus, where beyond access, now we are also looking at, to balance our business, also looking at SMEs who need these products for at the core of their business. So somebody who is selling frozen food and drinks, the core of the business is the fridge or the freezer.
Absolutely.
If you can provide them a solar-powered productive use appliance that is at the core of their business, there's that willingness and the ability to pay.
Yeah.
Because it's driving economic activity. They are making money. They don't want you to shut it down.
True.
Because that is the core of their business. So you can think about it in different sectors. If you think about healthcare as well, if you're able to energize an healthcare facility, you can see the impact on healthcare. Same thing for we actually did a CSR with one school in Ogun State, and the principal was telling us that the kids cannot read after 7 p.m. because everywhere is dark. So we had to sort of provide some solar home systems. And I said to them, we'll come back and check your WAEC results just to see. We do clean cook stoves. That takes away 80% of the smoke from charcoal. There's gas and all of that, but a lot of people still use firewood. How can we make them use less firewood and use less charcoal? But a lot of women also inhale carbon, and it affects their health. So if you're able to remove all of that, there's an economic and health implication immediately.
True.
So solving this energy poverty issue, energy equity issue, solves quite a lot of problem. And lastly, the one that really excites me is the fact that with reliable data that we have today over the last couple of years, and we're looking at the payment patterns, especially for productive use, we are now seeing that women are actually better payers. So there's a gender aspect to it.
Really?
Not that the men. Today's International Men's Day.
By the way, happy International Men's
It's
Day.
the most forgotten day.
Yes.
So nobody remembers.
Even me, I didn't remember.
I didn't remember until I saw the message from my team.
Yeah.
So, but women are better payers, not because the men don't want to pay, but maybe they are competing priorities for the men. But for the women, they see it as part of empowerment for their family. I'll give you an example. I went to to visit one of our customers in Shaki, outside of Ibadan. It's like 4 hours from Ibadan. This woman started with having a solar home system just to keep her shop open. So you can imagine she will close by 7 p.m. before now. With the solar home system, she's able to open till 9 p.m. And guess what? Between 7 and 9 p.m. is when she makes the most sales, because that's when people are coming back.
Can imagine that.
So imagine if she did not open her shop between 7 and 9 p.m. What would happen? So she goes, then she buys a clean cook stove, that cooks the beans faster. She uses less charcoal, and she doesn't inhale smoke. Then she goes on to buy a solar-powered fridge. Now she said to me, and I had the video and I was just smiling. She said that she has become a local champion because she's the only one in that area that is able to offer cold drinks because they never have lights. Now she's selling that cold drink at a premium. So I didn't know that cold and non-cold drinks, there's a price difference.
There is.
I never knew until I visited.
Because think about it, especially during this dry season that we're stepping into, people are thirsty and you're offering them, something that is 27 degrees, or 30, and so they just go away, right? But once they see something that is colder, the appetite, and they even want to pay something on top of it because, again, it's really around demand and supply.
Yeah.
The more she sells, the more she's able to replenish anyway, to restock, right?
And she has not missed a payment. It's on PAYG.
You see?
And she did not miss her payment.
So
if I check properly, maybe I can ask my team. I'm sure she has finished paying.
Amazing.
Now she has an asset. Not just 1, 3 assets. She's running a shop. And guess what? If she finishes paying, that asset becomes her own, unlocked forever. She doesn't need to pay any electricity bill because the power is coming from the sun.
And that gives her opportunity to even expand.
So then she can now come to a microfinance bank and say, look, I need working capital loan. Oh, what do you have? I have an asset. I have a fridge.
And there's even history.
That I was paying. So that's where we need to have an handshake with
Yeah.
the financial institutions where we're able to share data and say, look, these are people that have
Successfully.
successfully repaid on PAYG. They bought products sometimes as high as 1 million naira, and they did not miss their payment in 14 months.
That's
If you
amazing.
give them a loan of 200,000 naira, do you think they will miss their payment
That's amazing. And I'm just
without collateral?
I'm just thinking about, the ripple effect, right? That, that is having on extended household, for instance, children going to school, healthcare, saving for expansion, and all of that. Let's go into the future of product innovation in this regard based on the things. So when you started, you talked about access, affordability, and what was the third one?
Reliability.
And reliability. You also talked about the seasonality of income.
Yeah.
Right. So, how do you then, from your experience and the lessons so far, how do you design for proper segment? Solutions that are both commercially viable at the same time and socially impactful, bearing in mind the different personas. You describe this one very well. So you are now beginning to look at people whose income as seasonal, right? And yet the solutions are needed. Then flexibility to make payment, right? All these things, come into play. So if we're able to understand how to balance affordability with, the viability, which is willingness and ability to pay. So you talked about it. And with all of these ones, what I would naturally think is that there is risk. You just said some of these are non-collateralized. It's a huge risk that,
Huge.
you are taking. Let me then ask you two questions. You are designing based on this data that you have on these people. You are taking huge risk. How are you? What is the cost? You also talked about patient capital. How easy is it for your business and businesses like yours to access capital, in the Nigerian environment? I'm trying not to talk about.
I would say it's the way it is. It's not easy.
So
There's no way you can run this business on a 33%
interest
rates. No. So what has kept us going actually is because we've gotten patient and concessionary finance. One of them that I must say that has worked very well, and kudos to them, is the one from Olon. Olon, we are an Olon investee. So Olon provided us capital that I'm not sure any commercial bank will be able to match. They provided flexibility because some of the products are imported.
Mm-hmm.
They provided flexibility of buying in FX and paying in Naira. And not even the Bank of, maybe the closest will be the Bank of Industry that will be able to match them. And what they did was, okay, you know what your biggest capital issue is the inventory. So they pay directly to the manufacturer. So you're able to get the products in. And because it's concessionary, it allows us to be able to price competitively. Because you're also competing, by the way, you're not just competing with your competitors in the space, you're competing against alternatives.
True.
So if you provide somebody with a solar home system and the person has an alternative of a kerosene lamp, or the factor, you provide them with a solar generator, a solar inverter, and they see that it's easier to get a diesel generator. So you're competing against those alternatives. So pricing of the products is very, very important. You know the interesting thing? Over the years, the cost of components have been going down. But because of our FX situation, we're not seeing the effect.
True.
So we moved from an FX of 467 in 2023 to 1,005 now. So even if the cost of components has gone down,
the FX is
still there, and because we're not manufacturing locally. Hopefully someday we'll be able to produce lithium batteries here. And so we have some people already doing solar panels there, like Oxano. Shout out to them. So that's concessionary finance is important.
Very important.
No, I'm not sure any commercial bank has that solution yet. Maybe Bank of Industry, and that's my charge to them. We're speaking to them, but hopefully they we're able to unlock financing from them.
Amazing. Maybe this will be my last question. I'm very passionate about social impact, right? And so there was a story you told about coming back to check WAEC results. So I grew up. I can tell the story, where we used to read with lanterns, candles. I remember in 1988, the first time electricity came to my community, and all of us were wild, 1988, I won't forget.
Let me shock you, in the university, I was reading with candles.
Amazing.
In the university, in Lagos.
So that impact alone and how that can translate into, and these guys, we become trailblazers because you were able to provide energy, you were able to read, and they pass and they are in school. So you can just see the chain of reaction when it comes to social impact. Where does government as subnational, come in?
That's the elephant in the room. I think the federal government, to be fair, is doing a lot through the Rural Electrification Agency. We have a DES World Bank program that they're driving. So a lot of initiatives happening. And they're also pushing the state governments. With the Electricity Act now that has allowed them to generate. Today I was speaking at an event and I was saying that and we're talking about industrialization. And that's the only way a lot of countries have leapfrogged into developed countries. But energy ecosystem is not designed for productivity. It's designed for supply. So you have industrial parks that do not have an energy map. So you are incentivizing rice production. Okay, but are you incentivizing the energy that would produce the rice itself? So that's why all of this, you need a national industrial policy that takes care, that brings all the stakeholders, not just the trade ministry, but also brings the Ministry of Power and all the various stakeholders. In fact, we'll push that actually should sit in the presidency. Now, that also needs to be replicated at the state level, at each state level. Let me give you an example. If you wanted to print anything in this room today, in the morning, and you wanted it in the afternoon, where do you think you will go in Lagos? There's a place called Shomolu.
Okay.
If you want to print anything, you go in the morning, in the afternoon, it's ready. But if you go to Shomolu today, every single household has one form of generator or the other. Why are we not powering that cluster? If you wanted to sow this my adere now, it's produced in Abeokuta. But who is powering the cluster that allows all the tailors to come together and say, okay, it's predictable, it's reliable. We know that from morning till evening there's light. We can sow all these adere clothes that is ready for exports. So sometimes I don't always want to talk about, when 2 or 3 Nigerians are gathered, we always talk about problems.
Yeah.
But I've learned to see Nigeria's problems as opportunities.
Absolutely.
While we are complaining or maybe complaining that this and this, I also see it as an opportunity. Imagine you being able to solve the problem of 90 million people. Imagine you're able to solve the energy access, you're able to solve energy reliability and affordability. And whoever is able to do that, I think will be the next, probably the next Dangote.
That's a tough one. Okay, before I leave you, right? This question has been boiling in my head. I'm trying to tie it, energy financing. I'm not speaking from the investment point of view, like I said earlier, but the rural, the poor, the low income being able to finance, their energy needs, in that area. So you demonstrated the impact link from being able to do XYZ, giving them access to energy, and they are able. The story of that woman, by the way, is very touching. Made me emotional, and I'm just beginning to think if we can empower many people like this, there will be a significant.
Yeah, that's why we are launching a program called Cool Her.
Cool Her.
Yeah, so we're providing cooling solutions for women entrepreneurs.
Awesome.
Leveraging some financing that we also got not concessionary finance, but the fact that we're able to negotiate well with manufacturers to lower the cost of the product. Then we also got somebody to the Genset facility to finance that acquisition of those products for us. So we are not directly using our money, but it's a loan that we're able to use to get those products, and we can offer that on a pay-as-you-go basis to these women, because they're going to use it for their for either their restaurants, their business, their shops, and that will translate to economic activity. So yeah. Well, so how do you tie all of this together? Yeah. We've not even just started.
That's
where
I'm going.
Let me give you an example. So you see the likes of all the fintechs trying to drive, and I don't want to mention names now, trying to drive financial inclusion. You also see telcos trying to drive digital access.
True.
And we are trying to drive energy access. I think in future there would, and you also see e-commerce going to the last mile. At some point there will be a convergence of data.
But and that convergence, aren't we there already?
We are almost there, because we still, for example, I don't know how many people on the MTN network, what is their, imagine if I'm only taking, I'm taking data of your recharge. How are you recharging? Your recharge pattern, I take that. I take your spend pattern from the fintech company or the mobile money company.
Yeah, mobile money memos.
I take
your purchases on
your purchases through the e-commerce platform, and we take all of that together. And in minutes, using AI, we can determine your ability and your willingness to pay, and we're able to give you the energy access products.
So you're going into embedded financing already now.
Embedded financing using artificial intelligence.
But and that takes me to my last question, really, right? Which is on the payment side. Maybe not entirely. This is going to address that. Would be, in your experience, from infrastructure point of view, have you experienced, challenges in payment? Your customers being able to pay as at when due?
Yes, a lot. We're dealing with it right now. So I'll give you instances. So we expanded to a community in Kwara State, Lafiaji.
Okay.
We started selling products. Customers are paying. Then all of a sudden, the entire place is sacked due to insecurity. In fact, we had to go and rescue our staff out of there. So those customers are not able to pay. So these are the risks that are associated with this kind of business. So the funny thing, the systems are there, they are shut down because our PAYG system shuts it down. So it's useless to the customers there. They can't pay because of insecurity. We can't collect. So it's useless to all of us, all the stakeholders, we as a company, to the people that own and to the government at the end of the day, because we are not achieving our energy access targets. So that is just one, which is insecurity.
Lastly, yeah. I keep saying lastly, but this conversation is just getting me really emotional. Let's talk about job creation at the last mile. What have you seen in terms of the numbers?
I think the first thing we have seen is a direct job that we're able to create with our last mile agents. I've seen an agent we tried to even employ into the company. She said no.
She would rather
stay as an agent because she's making more money than being employed. And we now really found out that she actually has empowered another 5 other agents who are now sub. So we didn't realize that they're also creating sub-agents. People that they are bringing and saying, oh, you can do this, you can do this. And she has Falakemi in Ibadan, in Abeokuta. And she makes so much money, even more than some of the direct. So she said, I'll be there. But she's doing quite a lot. Think of her as an e-commerce delivery agent. Think of her as a loan officer from a microfinance bank. Think of her as an after-sales of one of these appliances company. So she's doing a technician job. She's doing a credit officer job. She's doing she's doing the wedding and the marriage at the same time.
And at the same time, I'm sure she's also doing, all this POS,
So
that's a lot
so
happening.
a lot is happening, and we are now beginning to see that if that is a loan, that is the only thing that we're able to do, then we would have fulfilled one of our mission, which is creating economic empowerment. And my top agents are actually women.
I was just going to wrap up with that ratio, male to female.
We still have it's a male-dominated environment, but it's roughly 40-60, 40% women. And in my leadership team, before leaving the Nigeria team, it was 67% women in the leadership team.
I think for me it would be, are there challenges that women face that may deter them from that last mile delivery?
Yeah, so women agents, for example, cannot climb up to go and install. So that's why we need to now put technicians. Today we are now beginning to see some women technicians as well. There's a company also working on that in that space as well. When they get married, sometimes it also slows them. We've seen, I had a top agent, Sarah, very well. In fact, Sarah could climb and say, look, I'm going to go and install. She will connect and all that. She single-handedly. She got married, she got pregnant, and we didn't see her again. So those are some of the challenges that women face in this space.
Okay. Yes. What are your parting words for our viewers?
I would say,
and of course, our viewers, they are regulators, they are financial institutions, there are consumers as well,
your
advocacy group, your research. So it's a multi-stakeholder audience.
Yeah, I would say that we need more collaboration. We also don't believe that we can solve the energy poverty issue alone. We need governments to support. We need development finance institutions to come to the party. We need ecosystem players to talk to each other, from telcos to payment service providers, last mile distributors. How can we leverage, for example, how can I leverage the last mile distribution of Jumia? How can I leverage the agent network of Money Points? How can I leverage the payment integration from PAYG? How can I leverage the concessionary finance from BOI? And so many. How can I leverage the network data from MTN or Airtel? In all of this, there's a lot of collaboration that is possible. But one thing I will say is that for us to get to that level of economic activity or prosperity, we need to solve the energy crisis.
Thank you, Kola.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been speaking to Mr. Kolawole Osinowo, the CEO of Izili Group, and he has given us a lot to think about. I'm emotional because from a social impact point of view, this is really what we can achieve if we collaborate, if we have the zeal to really innovate around the nuances that each of our clearly defined customer segment, present us. The EFINA Podcast, as we always say, bring these issues to fore, and we try to discuss potential solutions and opportunities for collaboration for the entire ecosystem. Kola, it's been nice, having a conversation with you.
My pleasure always, and thanks for having me.
We hope to see you again.
Maybe this time we'll be talking about our core, which is, for where our community, where we come
our
from.
Community.
Because there's a lot also happening in the financial services space.
Yeah.
And I think also that that for me is also, I find it interesting. Because that's also my community.
I know. I think for me, it's really all the time we'll be talking financial inclusion, and people just think it's just payment, it's credit, But there are sectors, where we can achieve, speed, faster. Energy, health,
e-commerce,
agriculture, e-commerce, circular economy. Yeah. A lot that we can, embed, solutions and begin to build complementarity. So thank you for coming.
My pleasure always.
I just realized that, this gender gap in equity, we can close it faster, right? If we leverage these other, sectors and the innovations that you are brought to market, also with the ones that others are bringing. The pleasure is mine and thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
I look forward to seeing you again. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring this episode to a close and we look forward to having you again on the next one. Thank you and bye for now.
The EFINA Podcast.